Bienvenidos to Cafecito with Rosie, where I bring my amazing friends to share stories of leading with a servant heart. Today, I am honored to have John Mejia from Mega Service Solution to join me. Hi, John. How are you today?
Hey, doing great. How are you doing?
Great, great, great. So let's start with, I know you married to Samantha. Samantha and I went to this amazing program called Leadership Tampa Bay, class of 23, the best class ever. So tell me a little bit about why is it important for you as Mega Services Solution and the person that owns that to participate in this program?
So Leadership Tampa Bay, they are so well rooted in the Tampa community and just the Florida community in general. And one of the biggest things I think that I've run 3 employees through there because I think they need to be rooted in it. And it's important because they kind of teach you what Florida's about. They connect you to great leaders, business leaders across the entire realm, right? It doesn't matter if you're a banker or you're a developer or you're in your own entrepreneurial space. They introduce you to everybody and they have a very selective process. So being those 3 different elements and being in the Leadership Tampa Bay, I think is very important. The people you meet there are so genuine, and we've been able to have good connections and kind of really build our business around that here in Tampa Bay.
So tell me a little bit about who you are, who's John, and, how did you start this whole thing, but where you come originally from? And
So I'm originally from Chicago. I'm first generation. Both parents are from Colombia.
Okay.
My mom worked in the factory. My father owned a janitorial company in Chicago. He sold it, came down here.
And I met his dad, amazing gentleman.
Yeah, so he came down here. He went bankrupt during the 2007, 2008, and he started up the company again. And my brother and I were kind of there to help him out. And so I'll pause there in that space. My mother stayed in Chicago. She just retired recently. Now she came down here to live with me, which is awesome. She lives with me and the kids love her. I have 3 kids, Louie, Elisa, and Maya, and my beautiful wife, Samantha. And then finally, I'll tell you about myself. After Chicago, I moved to New York. I went to West Point, New York, and then I served in the military
Thank you for your service.
for about 8 years. And then after those 8 years, I decided to get out. And then here we are back to my father's business. And he gave me the reins. So I took the reins and with my fantastic team, we've been able to kind of grow it.
Right. And this is all over the state of Florida. Because when I started with getting to know Samantha, I really honestly thought that you guys were Tampa Bay area.
Right.
And then I visit your website and it's all over the state of Florida. And maybe one time you will go national.
We actually went national 4 months ago. So we are across all southern states, all the way to the West Coast, California, and all the way up to Washington State. So we've been able to expand a little bit. Got a good team.
Awesome. And then you started humble, but this is the beginnings of your father's dream, and then you take it over and expanding it and making it bigger. But talking about leadership with a servant heart, why do you think Mega Services Solution is different from everybody else?
How do I take that? So I'll go with one of my father's philosophies to start with. Obviously, it was his business and growing it. One of the things we always did was we would take employees that we saw some leadership behind, and we'd kind of influence them to start their own businesses. They'd still work with us. We still subcontract the work to them, but now they have something of their own that they're able to build, right? Something they thought they couldn't do. So, for instance, when I came on board, I knew this kind of emphasis, and I knew my father's emphasis on it, and I thought it was important because when you do that, you have loyal people, you have people that you're serving as well as they're also working with you, and they're the ones that are actually growing your business. So one of the things, an example, we started with a subcontractor. After we transitioned him over to start his own business, he was making probably $1,000, $1,200 a month just doing cleaning. And I would say after 3 years, his 1099 came in at like 1.3 million. So
wow. You help him out.
It's fun.
It's fun to help. Awesome. And so, as you can see, this is very touchy for you. because and I know it's hard. So I commend you for doing this because we are the future of these people that come, are the immigrant community that comes here not knowing anything, and you have to learn a new culture, and you have to learn a new language, and learn the institutional knowledge that nobody teaches you, but you have the heart to serve. And you have the heart that knowing that you work hard, but if you work hard, you can also take that information and share it with others. And you become successful because others become successful. So I know part of this is that you have some dreams of your own because many of your employees are people that have grown with you.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So tell me also about you as a person. So you serve in you say you went to West Point, right?
Yes, went to West Point.
And I think your dad was very proud to tell me that you were actually you had a scholarship to go to West Point.
When you get selected to go to West Point, there was in my class there was 75,000 applicants, and they selected 1,200. Every person that goes there, full ride throughout the entire process, but you have to serve 5 years in the military and then 3 years in active reserve.
Yeah.
So we did that portion. Did a deployment in Kuwait during my time, the deployment in Qatar, and the deployment in Bahrain. Each one of those during that capacity.
Yes. And see, so why this show is so important and it's invigorating to me is because we have amazing individuals that have adapted into this country and they have served and they have given to this country to make it where it is right now. And the what I always share with you guys, I am an Ecuadorian by birth, a Hispanic by heritage, but an American by choice, because we are here to adapt, because we like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what the American value is. And John served for us to have the freedom to be able to share and have that and live those freedoms here. And now he's taking everything that he has learned and to be able to share it with others so others can become successful. So tell me, where did you meet Samantha?
Ooh, you want to know that one? I met her when I was in college. I met her in Cancun. We were on both spring break, first freshman year for both of us. We were on spring break, met her out there, stayed in touch. I was part of they call it the 2% club at West Point when you stay with your spouse the entire time. So we made it through West Point. Then she moved in after I got out and started serving. And then we got married in 2015.
Yes. Oh, my. And they have these beautiful babies. And I know that because of they having a nanny that speaks Spanish, they also speak Spanish very well. And you guys recently visited Colombia. So tell me a little bit about how was that?
Yeah, so Colombia, I love visiting, like my roots, visiting, going back. And so my father's been spending a lot of time there. We have a couple places down there. But Medellin is my favorite piece. Even though both my parents are from Cali, I love Medellin. We were able to go travel, show the kids all the mountainous areas, how beautiful the land is, how nice the people are, right? How good the food is. You can't forget about the land cuisine.
Empanaditas colombianas.
Lo mejor, Pero por todo lado, yeah, we traveled all over the place. We even went to Cartagena, visited the coast, and the kids just loved it. It was just an amazing trip.
Yeah, and those things you'll never forget. So I took my daughter Tabitha to Ecuador, I think when she was, I don't know, 9, 10, and she always remembers that part. And my son Stephen was too little to remember, but Tabitha can tell you anything and everything that she remembers. And she knew Spanish because of my parents, but she didn't know how to write and read. And she taught herself how to read and write. So my daughter Tabitha is fully bilingual, reading, writing, and talking. Stephen only uses Hispanic to pick up girls.
And my oldest is going to do the same thing, I think.
Yes, yes. No, again, leading with a servant heart, and this is where the theme is all about. And I know this is it's very emotional, and you are in the role part in here because we love. I get to have the privilege of meet amazing people that I get to love and learn, love like my brother and my sister. But going back to why Mega Services Solutions wanted to be different from everybody else, also because, hey, you're probably gonna say, somebody just goes and clean this. But you guys take it's very important for you guys to make that difference on when it's you guys and somebody else. That there is a big, you can tell, okay, this was serviced by Mega Service Solution, this was somebody else. Why is that so important to you?
So it was really important because obviously you want to differentiate yourself, right? So first thing is obviously the foundation of the people that I surround myself with, and the foundation of people that are actually running Mega, right? So those people are the huge difference. I think a lot of these companies out there right now, and I'm not speaking bad on them, they have a lot of successful stories, but it's just not the route I wanted to go. They wanted to expand fast, 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 and they forgot about the bottom line. Why are you there for, right? So I think what differentiates us is, hey, we know we're going to make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. Anybody, you're human, right? But the human aspect also, if you make the mistake, you own it. So for us, we'll respond in 2 hours. We'll be in your facility within 2 hours because we know that if we mess up, we take accountability and we show up. And a lot of companies, I would say, when they're expanding so quickly, they forget about the foundation. They forget about the actual customer experience. So that customer experience is something that my team is really focused on, and we've been able to grow on.
Good, good, good. Now, you as a leader, what do you do to be able to be the best version of yourself? Now, you're a father, you're a husband, you're also a leader in your community. How do you manage all that, and what do you do to be able to put John first and be the best version of yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that. No, so there was this colonel that told me one time, he said, hey, take 1 hour to yourself every day. And in that hour, just reflect, right? So, because there's going to be times you're going to have to put more weight on, the community. There's going to be times you have to be more weight on the business. Always have to put some time for your family, but you have to put more weight on their family, right? Like going on a vacation to Colombia, right? That means something, right? So I take an hour every day to be able to stop, isolate myself from everybody, really focus on, hey, where do I need to really leverage things? What can I do better to be able to serve those people, right? Serve my team, serve my family, and serve the community.
Yeah, and listen, in that hour, I think, and coming from a third world country, okay, I always share this, is being grateful. It's being, when you are grateful of what you have, even if it's, I share, my husband just had open heart surgery in October of last year. One of the things that he's experiencing right now is that he can actually hear his heart because his heart pumps harder. And he's now able, because he listens to his heart, he's able to say, thank you, because I have this rebuilt heart that is it's keeping me alive. And it's bringing those little small things for you to be grateful. And when you do that, then you don't have time to be envious of whatever anybody else have, because you can focus in that moment of what you're grateful for.
Exactly. And that's what I tell you in that hours. It's not just thinking about what you're going to do. It's also thinking about everything else that's happened and reflecting on that, right? That reflection piece that you're talking about, that's where you start growing the next person.
Right. And become. Now, how about exercises? One of the things we were talking about, Fernando, from this before. So one of the things that I have started to read and follow is the Miracle Morning. And I'm not talking about, lifting big weights and stuff like that, but my Miracle Morning starts with a walk in the park. And I do it because I want to. And I can use every single excuse in the book not to do it. But after I'm done with my 30-minute walk or 1 hour or whatever, I feel like I can conquer the world, right? And exercise is not as it's a chore, it's because it helps my body be the best version of myself. Do you do something like that?
It's funny you say that. Yeah. So we just moved into Tampa proper, more towards the west side. And so what we started doing, what my wife and I started doing, is walking our son to his bus stop, right? With the dog. We had a new service dog for service disabled. But we walk him to his bus stop, and then after work, what we do is we like to take the family, either they take their bikes or whatever. But my wife and I like to take a long walk along the neighborhood with the family. So we have family time, we have the exercise time, right? And then, but you also need that to get your blood flowing, things going all day.
Right, and you combining all those things together. What was a book that perhaps you read that changed your mind, or that you would suggest some people to read? Because, we continue to learn every single day, but that help you out, and why?
Um, Tony Dungy
Okay.
wrote a book. He has multiple, and I can tell you he writes one like probably every year, but he has one that you can open up every single day and has a quote. So I did it. So I did it for about 180 days every morning, and the quotes would sometimes the quote didn't really make sense at the moment, but as you go throughout the day, you were able to kind of take that quote, the thing he was trying to say about leadership or the thing he was trying to say about life, and kind of adapt it to that. And it was like one of those books. It's like sometimes you don't have a lot of time to read, right? Sometimes you're running at 100 miles an hour, especially when you have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and 2-year-old.
Yeah.
You have to figure that out.
Right.
So like maybe it wasn't an extensive reading portion, but those quotes were able to help me, right? So when I got to that hour of meditation, the hour for myself, I bring that back and I say, hey, reflect on it, right?
Right.
What am I learning from this? How can I do better, right? How can I serve, right, my team better in a better capacity?
Right. Now, also the part that we, as Hispanics and as immigrants of this country too, is family, right? So family is a big part of our upbringing, our success, and but at the same time manage, right? Those things that perhaps as a child there were some behaviors that your family did not know any better. It's not that they were bad; it's just that those were normal behaviors in our country, and now you come into the United States and people are saying, yeah, no, that's not healthy. Coming to the realization, you can make the difference. You have any stories that you can share like that?
Yes, and there's just something like so the Hispanic culture, like I think you probably agree with me. We love food, right? Because we everything with us is about food, and like we love and like when you go to your aunt's house or your grandmother's house, like they want to serve you out of love, right? And when you don't eat their food, it's kind of like they get kind of like you didn't like it or like you want more, and if you don't get more, it's like it's like right. But then you get here, and now while I was in high school, they used to reward me. When I got my report card, and it was a nice report card, my mom would take me out to eat, right? Little do you know, that's not something you reward somebody with. So later I found out through my psychology courses and through, other friends that when you reward that, people then feel like they have to reward themselves with food. Regardless, or maybe you can reward them with a book, or hey, you reward them with a nice time out to do some exercise, or something that they can go out and do something that physically helps them, right? And they don't just depend on food. So it's one of the things I had to learn, right? I had to change my entire habits, but it's not in the Hispanic culture. They don't do it out of like because they want to do something bad. It's just out of love.
It's out of love. And now you got to teach your children because you want to empower your children not to have the same not healthy food relationship, right?
And
So,
I just had the conversation with my wife. I think it was yesterday. Report cards came out for Hillsborough, and my son did fantastic. He did fantastic. So then it came out, and so I told her the same story. So that's why I started laughing because I had just talked to her about it yesterday. So we're deciding on what we're gonna do, where we're gonna take him, right, to like a certain place, just because he did well, and kind of congratulate him on what he did.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, my family and I were just having this, and I think it was Easter. And there's this thing called Fanesca in Ecuador, which is because of Friday, Holy Friday, or the Good Friday, you don't eat meat. So in Ecuador, they got this bacalao, which is the salty fish, and they make this soup called Fanesca, 12 different grains and stuff like that. Okay, well, Fanesca is not, unless you like it, it's not the best thing. So again, most of my family, like my mom and my brother, my sister, we all married to American people or more Americans anyway. So I tell my husband we're going to eat Fanesca. He goes, the nasty soup, fish soup, and I said, please don't tell that to my mom, but. So the whole thing in this whole family text was about what other thing that Panesca we were gonna eat. And it became this whole thing when I said, can we not focus on the food? Because I thought the whole idea was just for all of us to go eat Panesca. Well, anyway, it became this whole thing in this text message. So all I wanted to say is like, so at the end of the day, are we having something other than Panesca? But that is what happens with food and culture, and then bring it all together. But the other thing that I also wanted to mention is that we have people that come to this country and they're very happy doing a 9 to 5 job. There's nothing wrong with that. But they right away they get into debt or they make some decisions that they think are the best decisions at that moment with the information you have. But in this, one of the things that I believe is successful here is when you work hard, but you also work smart. And what was one of those things that perhaps you have learned about working smart and hard at the same time, but building a future of wealth for your family or for your future generation?
Yeah, so when you take over, right? I was leaving the military and I take over a business, and then a lot of times you're like, the military's so structured, right? They've been around for so long, right? So they're structured, they already have structure in places, they already have echelons. So you come over and you're taking over a business, right? And I take over and there's a lot of stuff I want to structure in the beginning. So here I am and I find myself in the weeds of the business, right?
Right.
And then started talking to my mentor, and I was working inside of the business, but I was never working on top of the business because I thought the foundation needed to be worked on, but I was there too long, right? And when you're trying to build this future, if you get stuck in those weeds, right? You get stuck in those weeds and you don't back up a little bit and think a little more strategic and think how I can work on the business, right? How I can serve my leaders in the business to be able to kind of expand. Because at the end of the day, yes, I'm the CEO of the company, but I have leaders across the board that like they're the ones that are really driving.
Right, right. You're the CEO, you're the visionary.
Yeah, I'm the
But
visionary.
then you have the support team that takes you to that vision. And as the CEO is sharing that vision and then allow the professionals to do their job.
Right. And then if you get fogged up in the day-to-day operations or you get too into the business, you forget to kind of continue looking for that vision. So I think it's important there. So when I started doing that, then I started developing a better business sense, a better business overall, and something that's more structured and it's able to kind of grow. And I know I can leave for legacies, right?
Right.
Eventually, maybe my oldest will take over, Louis. And but now we have something established that I know that I'm very proud of my team.
Right, right. And I'm pretty sure knowing your dad, he liked the practical probably because very similar to me, probably process and procedures was not his stronghold. So or his suit, and he needed to hire somebody. So that was probably where you needed to focus on that part first, right? But then you realize, okay, I can hire somebody, delegate, and when you delegate, let it go, let them do their job, right? And then you go and focus on your part, which is that being able to share the vision.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, no, absolutely. And not to my dad's fault, right? He's a grinder. He built a business and he established a business and it was running, it was doing well. I'm not saying it didn't do well. I just said for where I wanted to take it, I know I needed that extra step.
Yes, 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 yes. And no, I know because when I meet with your dad, he's so proud of you. He's so proud of what that was his dream, but you took it to the next level. And as I know that as a business owner, when you take these people and they take it to the next level, it's just amazing because it's like your baby and you see it grow and expand. And now it's future generations that they're being helped. So help and service, right? The other part, and I do with this, we're probably gonna be finishing up, but if you have to start all over again,
From
right, what will you like? What will be the one thing that you will do different? Like in your business or not coming to the United States. If you will have to, well, when you were born here, right? Right. So in your business, if you have to start all over again, what will you do different?
See, I'm a true believer of like the experience I had is really why I'm here.
Right.
I don't know how to change anything. I wouldn't change anything.
Yes, that is so amazing.
I think it's the experiences I had is why I'm here.
Mm. So powerful. We talk about, failing being part of success. I read this book again, Slide Edge, where it says successful people fail their way to the top. So whoever tells you that you're not going to make mistakes and everything is going to be peachy, it's not true. you know. So this is a person that is totally successful, but it realizes that he made some mistakes and he learned from them, and then you move on, right? And then some mistakes
A
that
lot of mistakes. She's being very nice. No, the mistakes is what really develops you. And I think as you learn that, I think especially because we talked about servant leadership, you also have to allow your team to fail.
yes,
And we do that, and I do that, you feel guilty, but at the same time, you're also developing them and letting them become stronger leaders. As you
right.
teach them, right? As you coach them through it, coach them through the success portion of it, right? There's a failure, but there's also success after it.
Yeah, and failure is part of the success. Understand that. And you know what? That's what we practice, right? It's like this little kid. I just read this, and you know, when you are a little baby and you're learning how to walk and you fall, what about a baby that says, oh, well, you know, I just fell one time. I'm never going to walk and I'm not going to try again because, you know, it's hard. No, they keep trying and trying and trying. And that's what success is all about. Well, John, this has been an amazing episode, and I thank you for being here. I love you. I love Samantha and your babies. And for you, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you looking at Cafecito with Rosie. And see you next time. Here you go.
Salud.
Bye bye. Ciao.